My name is Louisa, a young lady from Denmark with a burning desire about going into the Arctic and to represent Denmark in the Fjällräven Polar Expedition 2018. I'm very enthusiastic about outdoors and outdoor activities. I'm studying a bachelor in outdoor life in Norway for the same reason. I'm trying to fulfill my dream to go into the Arctic. But sometimes it takes some detours before you end up where you want. But I'm still working my way towards the north.
A video has emerged appearing to show the beheading of one of two Scandinavian women whose bodies were found earlier this week in Morocco. The remains of the 24 and 28-year-old women were found along the popular hiking spot in the country's Atlas Mountains.
They were best friends. Louisa Vesterager Jespersen, 24, from Denmark, and Maren Ueland, 28, from Norway. Two adventurous souls who shared a love for hiking, wilderness, and connection with the world beyond their borders. In December 2018, they set out to Morocco to trek the Atlas Mountains. For them, it was supposed to be another beautiful story of exploration and friendship. But what happened next would turn that journey into one of the darkest chapters in modern travel history. Louisa and Maren arrived in Marrakesh on December 9th. They planned a 3-week holiday starting with the Atlas Mountains, then heading to the coast. They were experienced travelers, college students training to be guides. They researched routes, booked modest lodging, and packed for winter conditions. 2 days later, they took a bus to the village of Imlil, the gateway to Mount Toubkal, North Africa's highest peak. The path is popular with backpackers, lined with small hostels and local vendors. The last time anyone saw them alive was on December 16th, leaving the village with their camping gear and smiles. The next morning, their camp stood silent. On December 17th, local hikers alerted police after finding an abandoned tent in the mountain pass known as Chamharouche. Officers arrived to a scene that would shock an entire nation. 2 young tourists had been murdered in what appeared to be a violent act of terrorism. Authorities quickly secured the site, cordoned the area, and contacted Interpol. Within hours, the news spread across Morocco, then the world. Images illegally posted online sent shock and outrage through Scandinavia. Governments urged the public to ignore them and respect the families. Both countries sent investigators to assist Moroccan police and ensure the case moved with care and speed. Moroccan authorities reacted within hours. Surveillance footage from Marrakesh and Imlil captured several men traveling parallel to the women's route. By December 20th, 4 suspects had been arrested on a public bus bound for Casablanca. They belonged to a self-radicalized group claiming inspiration from ISIS. Investigators found a video where they pledged loyalty to the terrorist organization before the attack. That recording and forensic evidence tied each suspect to the scene, ending speculation that it was random crime. Prosecutors charged more than 20 people total, 4 as principal attackers and others for support and recruitment. Trials began in 2019 at Saleh's anti-terrorism court. Families from Norway and Denmark attended the hearings seeking answers, not vengeance. In July 2019, 3 main suspects were sentenced to death, the accomplice to life imprisonment. Human rights groups urged clemency, but the verdicts stood as moral closure for the families. The murders reverberated far beyond Morocco. Tourism briefly plunged, hiking permits were tightened. Local guides organized silent vigils in the mountains where the women had loved to walk. Thousands of Moroccans marched in solidarity, condemning the violence and declaring terrorism has no religion. Online, images of Louisa and Maren became symbols of kindness and adventure. Their families spoke of them as women who believed the world was good and refused to let fear change that. In Scandinavia, universities held memorials. Outdoor communities raised funds in their names to support safety education for female travelers. Even in the midst of grief, people chose to honor their spirit, not their end. The Atlas case exposed how extremist propaganda still finds audiences online, and how fast ordinary people can be drawn into fanaticism. It also raised difficult questions. How do we balance adventure with safety? What responsibility do governments have to monitor radical content? And how can we honor explorer spirit without ignoring risk? Experts now cite this case when training guides and tour operators. The women's families later said their daughters wanted to see the world, so the best tribute was to keep traveling with open eyes and prepared hearts. Louisa and Maren believed in beauty, in mountains, cultures, and the people they met along the way. Their journey ended in unthinkable tragedy, but their story reminds us that light still outnumbers darkness. Because for every act of hate, there are thousands of acts of care that follow. They were two friends who set out to explore the world, and in their memory, the world learned to be a little more vigilant and a lot more kind.
A dream that has been stuck in my head ever since I joined the Fjällräven competition last year, where I ended up in second place. And I hope, wish, and pray that this time I can achieve my dream. A dream that I can't achieve without your help. Dream about experiencing the feeling of kicking a dog sled through the big Arctic. About feeling the ice crystals in my face and the view of an infinite white landscape. A dream about learning and experiencing the magnificent, untamed Arctic.